see that in Austria. Well, when I remember well, I would say 5 to 8 years ago, I think we had, I would guess, but APG colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 20 to 25 power plants being pre-qualified for providing balancing services. In the meantime, we have around 660 power plants or metering points, to be more general, which do provide balancing services. So the figure has multiplied by the factor 30 in between over the last year, I would say 5 to 8 years. This demonstrates that there is indeed really a need to automate the processes and make them fit for being rolled out. It's probably also worth mentioning that in the meantime the costs went down to 1/3 of what the initial costs 5 years ago have been. So this proves also the potential in terms of savings, roughly. Maybe I will not need all the 10 minutes which Carlo granted me.
Very good. Even better.
Anyhow, to talk briefly a bit about where we are, and I think it's important to talk a bit about terminology and sorting out things, because there are a lot of discussions about flexibility markets, and it was already mentioned that they can serve for a number of purposes, and I do fully agree with Martin that the flexibility, be it on the generation side, be it on the demand side, should be used for all possibilities. They should be used for the usual energy markets, for day-ahead and intraday markets. So this should be potentially also used for the portfolio of the balanced responsible parties. And this should be used for redispatching for the TSOs and the DSOs, and I think the flexibility really is owned by the customer, by the prosumers, and it's actually their right, as Martin said, to optimize between the different opportunities. Maybe to look at a couple of things from this graph in a bit more detail. There was a discussion, or was already a mentioning about value of all that. Maybe we need to distinguish here between bigger and smaller consumers. Me, as a smaller consumer here in Vienna, I think my four-person household consumes around 3,000 kilowatt hours a year. Actually, to be honest, I don't care about 2, 3, 5 euros, whatever it is, which I can gain by offering flexibility. So there are basically two options on how to value that. I think either the amount of money is significant. I mean, if we achieve 10,000 euros, 100,000 euros per megawatt hour, then maybe there is the potential to earn significant money, if you are there at the right time, of course. The other possibility is to make it simple. Yeah, of course, aggregators go already in that direction to simplify the procedures for prosumers. But well, maybe there are still some steps to go. I mean, if I would get on my mobile phone or via a specific app a message that, well, let's say I get a voucher for 2 beers. If I don't wash today, maybe I would take that, and that has the value of. Yeah.
I take it.
Yeah. Okay. So Carlo and myself would divide each other, vice versa, apparently. So maybe there are options to make it still a bit more, to make the value a bit easier to gain. Second thing, smart metering. This is also an important element to make the processes smooth, but also to show and make it easy to monitor for the buying parties, to monitor whether they got what they have spent money for. So there is a big development in Europe right now to roll out smart metering. I think Austria is at around 16% right now, and there is more to come, so we hope that we will be almost at 100% by the end of year 2022, but this would of course clearly help to support the processes from a technology side. And finally, it's about the customer. We talked already quite some time about that, and it was interesting to see which efforts were needed during the FutureFlow projects or at the initial stage to figure out who are the participants who can really contribute actively to the project, that in the end maybe a small or medium-sized percentage was then really capable to contribute and was apparently also ready to do so. I think there is still a lot to do in terms of explaining things that a cultural behavior and behaviors and changes in behavior are needed to consumers, and there are children happen to be out on the street on Friday around lunchtime usually. Maybe this would be a good opportunity that there are options to contribute, and they can also do something in that respect, and then that would clearly help if we don't do these conferences only here in rooms like that, but go out and talk more about them. Thank you.